That's not necessarily believing that you're going to play for Halal or Real Madrid or Barcelona. I think it's having that belief that you are good enough, because you're going to come across many ups and downs. Football is a roller coaster. Even when I was young, I remember when I was 14 and I was playing for my local county, which was Kent, and I played the year before, and then the year after I went for the trials, I didn't get in. I was mortified. Like the way you had to, like when you basically had to call up this number and they would read out the squad, the ones that make it. And I remember calling, not hearing my name, and I called it like 10 times, like just to double check, and I was heartbroken. But I think then the next year I kind of worked even harder, and then I made it into the team the next year. And I think you're going to have so many of these. You're going to have some managers that may prefer someone else or whatever. And I think having that belief in yourself, and yeah, if you keep working hard, I think you will get what you deserve.
Chris Smalling, it's a pleasure to be sitting with you, talking to you.
No, nice to be here, and thanks for having me.
Great player who had a great journey. We're gonna dig today in your life, lifestyle. But as a child, tell us the story. What, were you a good player? Were you a good student? What?
Yeah, I think my journey was kind of a little bit different to, I think, most, in terms of, I think when growing up, especially in England, football is obviously the number one sport that I think every kid wants to play. And I'd always played for local teams when I was growing up, but I was also into a lot of other sports, like judo was also one of my...
Really?
Yeah, even my son now, he started BJJ, which is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is kind of similar, so it's quite nice to see him doing different things. But yeah, I grew up sort of mainly doing football and judo and a lot of other sports like rugby and things. And then when it got to about sort of 15, 16, I didn't have a professional team, so I was playing sort of kind of for my local team. And then normally at that age you go to like a professional team, you get a scholarship and things, but I didn't have that, so I sort of stayed in school, did my A-levels, and then when I got to 18 I was still playing non-league, so I was like this skinny 18-year-old playing against all these men. And that was a big lesson. But from there I kind of was a few months from going to university, and then I had 2 trials. So I kind of had uni boxed off, and then I kind of thought, look, let's try and see if we can get a contract. And then luckily, sort of Fulham and Middlesbrough, the 2 trials I went to, both offered me a contract. So then I had a choice. I mean, obviously football was the choice and is always the number one choice, but I think the fact that I had the opportunity to go to university helped me perform better in my trials, because I didn't have to put all my eggs in one basket. It wasn't like, now you put yourself under too much pressure because you have to deliver. But I kind of had both, and my mum was important in that, and to make sure that I kept with my education.
I was going to ask you about that. What was the family part in this?
Yeah. My mum was very big on making sure that me and my brother, who's 2.5 years younger than me, make sure that we kept our grades. We could do whatever we want outside, football, whatever we wanted to do, but our grades were
you go to school, you continued.
Yes, no, 100%. And my mum is a big factor in terms of why I did so well and my brother did so well in school, in the fact that I was able to then have the option, rather than when you have options. I think it puts you in a lot better position.
But that helped you in life, as a person, actually.
100%. And education is one of the things that, maybe we'll dig into that later, that I think is also very important for young players come up that doesn't have enough emphasis on it. And it also helps me now in terms of some of the businesses that I like to be involved with, and hopefully for that next chapter in years to come when the boots hang up.
And then you entered the football domain, Fulham.
Yes.
Then Manchester.
Yes.
Then Rome. Let's take it piece by piece. Fulham, how was that?
Yeah, Fulham was great. That was like my first time of professional football. On that trial that I mentioned, Roy Hodgson was the manager at the time, and he watched the friendly game. I think it was between the under-18s, and he was watching in his office, and then straight after he called me into his office, and it was just so surreal. I'm speaking to the first team manager, and he also played for the team that I was playing for before, Maidstone, which is like such a small club, but he was that was just great. So in that first year I was sort of playing for the reserves, but I was traveling with the first team a lot, getting experience, because I was about 18.
How did it feel?
It was crazy. I think I'd watched a lot of these people on TV, and I was just this kid who was literally in school. I was about to go to uni, and then a couple of months later, I'm playing with like professional people who play for their countries and all these different countries. It was so surreal, but it was one that I just loved, and it was the fact of I was dreaming big, and it was happening. But yeah, it was just so surreal.
When you were dreaming big, what was the dream back then?
The dream back then, I think I just enjoyed playing football, to be honest. I think the fact that obviously I had the school and the education, which was an important part, but every kid wants to play school. Like even when I'm playing football in our living room, for example, with my brother, and you're scoring goals in the curtain bits with a little ball, it's like you just enjoy playing football. So at that time, even when I was 18, I didn't necessarily have a professional club, and that's why I was playing for Maidstone, which is a non-league club and you don't get paid or anything, but it was a case of I was always going to play football. So if I went to university, I'd carry on playing football, but then having the opportunity of actually doing it professionally as like a job and something that you really enjoy, I think it was just crazy. I couldn't believe it, to be honest.
And then you moved to Man United.
Yeah,
that's a big step.
Yeah, no, that was, yeah, if Fulham was one, then yeah, Manchester was crazy. And to be honest, there was a time around that time where there was a few clubs that sort of my agent and things were talking to, and there was a lot of things in the press about where to go. But Manchester just came out the blue. Like I was coming towards like choosing potentially where to move to, and then we were travelling for a game with Fulham, and Roy Hodgson got off the coach. It was like we did a coach journey, and he was like, Man United have put in a bid, and we've accepted it, and Sir Alex is going to come to the hotel in like 45 minutes. Oof. So I was like normally you hear about all these moves about, oh, they put the bid. It was just like that. My agent didn't know, and I think that's just how sometimes Man United work. They just, if they want it to happen, it just happens. And then, yeah, 45 minutes. I mean, I'm sat in my room waiting for Sir Alex to come, and I called my mum because it's like the first person who am I going to speak to, and yeah, it was just so surreal. I was so nervous. And then he just sat down, and then he was there for about 2 hours, but we didn't really talk too much about football. He was talking about me, about my life, about my growing up, about my family, put me really at ease. And he was, yeah, it was quite surreal. And then later he called my mum to reassure her that he was going to look after me and things. And it was that personal touch that I mean, he's one of the greatest managers ever. How was he as a person? Yeah, if you can imagine someone in your family, like an uncle or granddad type figure, he had that, as well as obviously all the technical ability and as a coach, but him as a man, as a people person, I think he was number one, because obviously even me walking into that changing room full of superstars, how do you keep 25 superstars all happy? You can't always, but the way he manages them and he talks to them and he understands them, I think that's what makes a manager hugely successful as well.
And then he moved to Rome. Was it easy leaving Man United?
It wasn't easy, to be honest. I mean, I was there for a long time, and never had huge ambitions to play abroad at that time, just because I was at Manchester United, and where else do you go in terms of that? And then the kind of opportunity just came up where it was discussed with my family, and I'm someone who lives by having no regrets, and I felt like I had a great career there, and I was able to step into another country with also another huge fan base. I mean, we had 60,000+ sell out every week. The atmosphere there was crazy. And then I went there for a loan period. Really fell in love with the place. My family loved it. The fans really took to me. And then, we thought, let's make it permanent. And I was there 5 years, and it was crazy. My youngest son was born there, so I've always got that attachment.
How did you adapt? I mean, from Man United to a team that they have their own special fans. How did you adapt?
Yeah,
was it easy?
It was a lot easier than I thought, especially because I kind of went there at the end of the window on loan, so it was kind of mid-season. And I think the fact that sometimes if you have a full pre-season, it can be easier to settle in. But I came in maybe 4 or 5 games into the season, and it was like, right, let's just play the games. And sometimes just stepping in and just hitting the ground running, which helped, especially in my first game, I think really helped me settle. The players started to get to know me, the fans started to get to know me, and from quite early in that period, I felt like, this is somewhere where they had big dreams, big ambitions. We've had some great managers and good times there. So it was one that I really wanted to be a part of.
Speaking of the managers that you've been through with Van Gaal, Mourinho, a lot of great names. What advices have you received from great advices that you still remember until now?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate enough to play with some great players, but also to experience some top managers. I think Louis van Gaal was one who had one of my best seasons there and got Player of the Year under him, and he also obviously taught Jose Mourinho, for example, and many other people. And I think in terms of some of the advice from them and people like Sir Alex, I think is to just have that belief in yourself, and if you work hard enough for it, you'll get what you deserve. I think in terms of, especially with Sir Alex, he was a kind of, I've seen so many talented players. Even when I was growing up, there were far better players than me. But in the end, a few years later, they're maybe not as far as where they should be because they've put all their emphasis on their ability and not put enough work on hard work in terms of digging in. And football's a roller coaster. You have many good moments, bad moments. And I think that resilience and hard work ultimately will ride above everything else. And I think that's what a lot of the managers have taught me, and especially a lot of them have had top careers as well. So they're the perfect people to listen to.
After Rome, you came to Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Tell us the story. How did that happen? What do you think? What were you thinking before that? What was your expectation?
Yeah, so that was, again, that was also towards the end of the window. I'd started the season with Rome, and I still had more on my contract in terms of Rome, and we were quite settled there. We were playing, and then my agent came out, and there was some interest in terms of a few different countries, and here was one of them. And obviously, I knew a lot of the players that have moved here because I've either played with them, I've played against them, and it was just it felt like a time where, I mean, as a country and as a football, it's just growing. The people they're attracting, the matches. I mean, each week now I play against so many different international players that it's which is very cool, and different people to test yourself. But yeah, how that materialized, and then it kind of moved quite fast, and so I was speaking to people at the league, and it all happened quite quickly, but it felt like a right move, and it was something that me and my family decided that we would go for it. It's pretty similar to when I moved from United to Rome in terms of having no regrets. It's a life experience, and we're so happy for it, and to be able to settle in so quickly as well, because it is a lot further away from home than Rome to England. But it's the transition for myself and for my family has been great.
That's great. Well, we're happy to see you actually here. Yeah. We'll get back to that. You've won trophies. You've been with coaches, 2 countries, now the 3rd country, and you're an intelligent person who studied. Mm-hmm. What these steps have changed in your personality to from a step to a step? What did you learn from each step as a person? Yeah,
I think as a person, I think the fact that I've also been able to move countries and move different cultures, I think being able to see more of the world and to make me a more rounded person in terms of meeting so many different people, in terms of how they live, how they conduct themselves, and how you can integrate into their country and culture, I think has been great in terms of, and also for my boys to be able to see that has been great. And some of the questions they ask, and obviously we're in Ramadan now, and my wife bought a Ramadan book to help describe that to my son, and things like this is just it's made me I feel like a better person, and also to be able to share my life experiences with my boys, and to see as much of the world together, and to be able to experience that and learn along the way and grow is it's something also above. Obviously football is my job, but I'm also able to have obviously experience everything around that because of football is a dream, and I'm very lucky.
Your sons are playing right now, or no, they don't?
So my eldest he is getting into football. He enjoys sort of coming to my games. But yeah, he's playing lots of different sports. A bit like when I was young, I think you let them enjoy, create. He loves to sort of be out in nature, climb, dig. He loves to do all these type of things. So yeah, I just wanted to give him as many opportunities as possible, and wherever his passion pushes him to. But yeah, my youngest, who's going to be 2 in the summer, he's just ball, kicking it mad. So maybe he'll be the one that will follow. But yeah, it's a lovely time to be able to see them grow up.
But no judo.
Yeah, well, judo. I think I've been watching. It was quite surreal because my mum put me and my son when I was younger into judo when I think I was about 5 and my brother was about 3, and Leo, who's my youngest, he started at 5. And then I was speaking to their jiu-jitsu teacher, and yeah, he said judo is very similar. So it's pretty surreal how it all comes around. So and he's loving that actually. So we'll see where that goes.
We'll see. I mean, as well, you're a vegan guy.
Yes, yeah. No, I'm I've been vegan for about 6.5 years now.
How did that affect your mental, your body as a player as well?
Yeah, I think I've been lucky enough with my wife. She's always, I mean, obviously being a great cook in terms of, she's always been very focused in terms of the ingredients, the type of ingredients, the quality of ingredients. And I've almost been on a journey over these years in terms of transitioning and also making sure that in my diet I'm getting the right things, and being able to come to different countries also helps in terms of obviously fruits that are in season, different things like that. It's been nice to experience that side of things. So in terms of transitioning from country to country, it's been great.
Interesting. Do you have any projects about animals?
Yeah, so
I've heard something about that. You know?
Yeah, so there is, in terms of, we try to help as many different charities, and there's some great charities out there in terms of for kids, for animals, etc. And we try to help as many as possible in terms of, especially even some in other countries, like one of our especially my wife's projects, because she climbed Kilimanjaro. And there's a charity over there called Share Tanzania that helps very vulnerable kids who grow up in, some of the conditions. They don't have some of the basic necessities like water and shelter and things. So we put a lot of our focus into helping those in that country, and we try to do our help, because we're in a very fortunate position. And when you see some of the stories that happen sort of elsewhere in the world, and it makes you just want to help.
That's interesting, because you could be a great footballer, but at the end of the day, you want to be a great person as well.
100%. Yeah, I think I'd like to, and touch wood, I've got many years left playing, but I would like to be not just remembered as hopefully being a good footballer, but like you say, being a good person, someone who stood up for what he believed in and almost had a purpose. So that's why I think in terms of being able to play football, also having these other passion projects along the way that can help inspire, because we have the platform to be able to do that, and the fact that I've been able to play in a few different countries, I can touch different spots, and having my sons, I think, has also made it more important in terms of how I am as a man, and how I set them as an example, because they watch every move that I do, and me and my wife, anything that we say, they repeat it. So how we show them and the things that we can do, I think just makes it even more important for me.
Becoming a father is a life-changing.
Yeah.
Not the same person before that.
Yeah, no, I think you get less sleep, but no, in terms of how I am, I think you can't imagine it until they're there, and just seeing the stages that they grow and how that impacts you. It makes it really important in terms of that I set the best example that I can, so that they can lead the lives and be the best versions of themselves.
And are they enjoying it here in Saudi?
Yeah, they're loving it. No, they really are. I think that's something that has really, really helped me settle in terms of on the football pitch. And I knew that side of the things, with the facilities and the people involved, that would be taken care of. But it's almost when the family, because I've spoken to, like you say, other people, and they've settled in, but until you're here, you never really know. But they've really settled in. Some of the people and the different people that they've met, and my kids, it's been great. They live on their scooters going around, and they're loving life. So I think that's what's really helped us all settle in and enjoy this new chapter and this new experience even more.
You're a family guy. That's what I can understand.
No, 100%. And I think that's what as much as you're choosing next steps for footballing reasons, for the league, for the club, etc., I also have a family, and I think we make those decisions together. And you can do as much research and talking to people as you can before, but ultimately you have to take that decision to take the plunge and let's do it. And we don't regret it at all, because we've really settled in. My family came sort of pretty much soon after me, and yeah, it's been a great experience so far.
Interesting.
In such a short time.
Yeah, when the queen is happy, everybody's happy.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's 100%.
When you have to take a decision, like a really big decision, who do you ask?
Yeah, I think ultimately I obviously think deeply in terms of myself, but in terms of when it's a huge decision, I think my wife is a big factor in that. Obviously my family as well. I think a big factors in terms of, because what we decide for the next steps, whether it's a new country or whatever it is, in terms of not even just moving club, but any big decision, say for our boys or something, we try to discuss it amongst ourselves, give ourselves time to process, give us time to think, and ultimately I think you have that gut feeling pretty much from the beginning as to, sometimes your head can get in the way in terms of pros and cons of all different things, but ultimately if you have that gut feeling, and that's ultimately what I've been led through since I was young, in school, to the football, to any other decisions outside.
You follow it.
Yeah, you feel, you let your heart and your gut follow you, and that's what we tried to do, and yeah, I think it's led me well so far.
Okay, let's go back to football now. You played with big world-class defenders.
Yeah, definitely.
Who was your favorite?
Oh, I should say Rio, because I watched your interview the other day, and but no, in all honesty, I mean, him and Vidic, especially when I joined United, were obviously in their prime, and not just two of the best defenders in England, two of the best defenders in the world. So in terms of, for my education to step in, I must have been 20, 21, to be able to step in and witness them in terms of not just on the field, in terms of training, how they looked after themselves off the pitch, how they conducted themselves around the staff. I mean, I was almost like a sponge. And even when I spoke to Sir Alex when I was at Fulham, I was like, you've got these great defenders. Like, how do I fit in? How am I going to play? Like, I want to take my next stage. And he said, don't worry, you will play. And at the end of that first season, I played, I think, we got to the final of the Champions League, we won the league, I think maybe 35 games, which was, I couldn't even imagine that when I first joined. So yeah, those two, I think I had the best education that a young defender could ever dream of.
They were supporting you.
Oh, super supportive. And I think that's what, when we talk about great players, I think we also talk about, a lot of them are great men as well. I think also with Sir Alex, he's one of the best managers, but he's a great person. And Rio and Vidic were exactly the same. They had so much time. And even when we were in little things in training, and then maybe after training, we'll work on a couple of little things. They were happy to just take me to the side and we'll work on a few little things. They had the time, even though they didn't need to do it. They were going to play a lot of the games. They were world class, but they had the time to be able to give the young players and do that.
Rio, did you hear that?
And I'm not just saying this because I watched your interview. Yes, no, he is.
From these champions that you won, which was the most one that
most satisfying?
Remember? Yeah,
I think it might be in that season, my first Premier League. I think that year was very surreal because I'd made the move, and I mean, there was Rio Ferdinand, Giggs, Scholes, Gary Neville, I mean, Berbatov. I mean, these are literally players that I was playing in my front room. Even when I was at Fulham, you watching these people on TV playing for England, playing for all of these, that, yeah, it was super crazy. And also to be able to play my part and play so many games in that season in my first year was, yeah, that first Premier League was definitely the most, I guess, satisfying and huge. And I would say also when we was in Rome, we won the Conference League, just in terms of how the fan base there is just crazy. And the parade that we had, I'll have to show you some videos after. It was crazy. Like, we had a lot of parades with United, but the parade with them, because it had been 30 odd years since they won a European trophy, was insane. Like, we had arrived back at like 7, 8 in the morning. No one had slept. And then we had this parade at 11. We actually literally were supposed to do this tour around sort of the Colosseum and everything. It got stopped halfway because they'd blocked the roads. Like, we literally couldn't move. The fans, yeah, that was also one of the best parades I've had.
Television.
Pardon?
I saw that on television.
No, it was
really crazy.
It was super crazy. Like, none of us could have expected it. And that is one of the major highlights in terms of the celebration as well.
Interesting. Okay, let's jump back to Saudi Arabia. You just said that you were enjoying it here. Have you traveled anywhere? Any cities? What's your favorite spots here? Yeah,
so in terms of we visited back to Riyadh quite a lot, and in terms of like Diriyah, I learned about the history in terms of it being like the first Saudi state. Yeah. But in terms of, obviously, you've got the heritage site, which especially like my mum and brother came over last month for the first time. We brought some of our cousins, some of our friends, and
you brought the whole family.
Yeah, no, they've all come at different times, and they've tried to come. Yeah, they really enjoyed it, and like we kind of had, we need to see all these different things, like Riyadh, like we went to like Boulevard City, Boulevard World through the Riyadh season, and in the international break, we're actually going to the Red Sea with my wife and my boys. So yeah, some of the pictures, obviously we've seen some of the beaches over there. Amazing. So we're looking forward to that. So yeah, we're trying to see as much as we can around the footballing schedule.
With these events that are happening, the sports event, I mean, for the boxing, have you attended any of these?
Yeah, I mean, my schedule hasn't allowed for some of them, but I did go to the Bivol match that was a few weeks ago where obviously he won the rematch. And I mean, the card, I mean, it was 7 or 8 people on that card that was great. So that was a great experience, and fixture permitting, I'm hoping to get to more of the events, because some of the lineups and some of the people that are coming over here to perform in whatever sport it is super exciting to see. For
a Chris Smalling, as a perfect day off, how it will be?
Perfect day off, I think. I'd often say a lion, but that doesn't happen with 2 little boys. So I'm often up early, and being able to be woken up by my boys is a pure joy. And I think just being able to really spend the day with the family, and then almost, if we can go off, maybe have a nice sort of lunch. And obviously the weather here helps to be able to have a lot of that outside. And I think just spending as much time as we can outside and maybe experiencing new places, I think is almost our perfect day in terms of just with the family.
And let's say for a goals that you really want to achieve, what's more that you really want to achieve?
I think in terms of football, I feel like I've left my mark and can be remembered fondly in terms of the countries that I've been in. So obviously with England, Manchester, and with Rome, and now my journey here is just starting, and essentially at the end of that, which is hopefully, obviously I've signed for 2 years, and body permitting and performance permitting, hopefully that continues. But
hopefully it'll continue.
Yes, okay. And I hope that after that I can be remembered as fondly here for what I've brought to the country, to the league, and hopefully set a good example, so that I can play my part in the growing, obviously, that's happening in this country, and then also leave my mark in terms of on the pitch as well. And that's my main focus in terms of football, that I can leave my mark, lead by example, help the league grow, and that's.
And out of football?
And out of football, I have, especially in terms of, obviously I was very close to going to university, and I was going to study financial economics. So I've very much liked business, and I have a couple of business that we do different investments in, specifically sustainable investments, and I feel like that type of thing is something that I'm also going to be stepping more into, and hopefully building connections and in the different countries that I've worked in. So I'm excited for what's happening now and for what's to come.
Well, we're hosting the 2034 World Cup. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that?
I think it's incredible. I think in a time where a lot of eyes are on Saudi Arabia in terms of the people they've been able to attract, and also how that's going to help the local players in terms of on the national team and also within the different clubs. I think it's a perfect opportunity, and also a nice timeline for them to be able to grow the league, to be able to grow the players that are here as well. And I think, yeah, it's a fantastic goal that they've achieved, and now they're on that path to delivering, which I think I've no doubt will be a fantastic World Cup.
Hopefully you'll be here.
Yes, yeah.
Speaking of local players, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't know too many of the local players before I've arrived, but seeing them firsthand in terms of some of the games and also some of the players obviously on my team as well has been really eye-opening in terms of the quality that is there. And I think especially a lot of the players on my team have a good shot of getting into the national team as well, and a lot of them have those aspirations. So I can see the hunger, I can see the desire, and also especially with some of us players who are coming in from other countries and playing in other leagues, they're almost like a sponge in terms of some of the advice that they can get, that we can give. And I've really enjoyed playing with, especially in our team, a lot of the locals have played as well. So I feel like it's nice where they can feel like if they play, and especially with our manager, he keeps them in there. No matter if you're from Saudi, from Spain, from whatever country, he's very loyal to the players who come into the team and do well and take their opportunities. And I think that's what's really helped, especially a lot of the players in our team, to be able to grow and to develop. And I think a lot of them have got a good shot in terms of growing their young players. And I can't wait to see some of the ones I really worked with grow and hopefully participate in that World Cup.
Can you see a Saudi player playing in Europe in the future?
Definitely. I think obviously in the background, so you're going back to Rome, I think we actually had a little crossover when he joined, and then I was coming here, so he was like, oh, you're going to Saudi? So we didn't actually get to play. Well, we probably had a few training sessions, but I think it's only a matter of time where that number is going to increase even further because of the quality of the league, of the quality of the players. I think you can see the facilities of each club. They're already amazing and they continue to grow. And I think, the quality and the standards is just going to be higher to the point where if the local players decide to go and play in other countries, I think the opportunities are going to be there.
Let me take the opportunity when you mentioned Saud, he's playing in Rome. It looks like it's not going to be easy for him, or it's not going to be easy to play in Rome as a team. Yeah,
I think it's whenever you move to a new country or new club, it always takes a transitioning period for sure. Even some might hit the ground running, some might take a little bit longer. And but I think the fact is people saw him play and he
scored. He did a great job.
No, exactly. And I obviously know everybody back in Rome, and they speak very highly of him in terms of how he is as a person, how he's growing. Obviously Ranieri's speaking a lot about him. De Rossi obviously was there before. They all speak very highly of him, and I think that goes to show that he's working hard, he's listening, he has the quality because they've seen that as to why they've brought him there. And it's just a matter of time. I think sometimes you have to be patient because you're also walking into a club that is one of the strongest in Italy. So there are challenges there, but I think he has the quality to do it, and people there have seen the quality. So I think it's only a matter of time before, like you say, he takes his chance. And then managers these days, if you take your chance, it doesn't matter if someone gets injured for a game or if they're suspended, you take your opportunity, you'll get to keep it. And that's where the click can really happen.
Let me take this opportunity and ask you, honestly, talking to you, I did some flash interviews with you, but talking to you right now makes me ask you more questions. Let me ask you, honestly, yes. I see you as in the future as a coach. I see you as someone who works on television, and I think you're thinking about that maybe in the future. Long future.
No, we'll see. I think you can never say never, but I feel like whether it's a coach or manager, I'm not sure, but I do, obviously I have that business side where I like being involved in I guess, in companies in terms of growing things. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, hopefully there'll be opportunities.
You'll do a great job. Give us an advice for the young Saudi players, or any young player who's watching us right now, from a player who's been there, lived a great journey. It wasn't easy, a big challengeable. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think for any young player, I think you have to have that belief in yourself. I think that's one of the number one things, and that's not necessarily believing that you're going to play for Halal or Real Madrid or Barcelona. I think it's having that belief that you are good enough, because you're going to come across many ups and downs. Football is a roller coaster. Even when I was young, I remember when I was 14 and I was playing for my local county, which was Kent, and I played the year before, and then the year after I went for the trials, I didn't get in. I was mortified. Like the way you had to, like when you basically had to call up this number and they would read out the squad, the ones that make it. And I remember calling, not hearing my name, and I called it like 10 times, like just to double check, and I was heartbroken. But I think then the next year I kind of worked even harder, and then I made it into the team the next year. And I think you're going to have so many of these. You're going to have some managers that may prefer someone else or whatever. And I think having that belief in yourself, and yeah, if you keep working hard, I think you will get what you deserve. But I think you also have to give yourself opportunities and as many options. And I think people say, okay, stay in school and do things. But honestly, I think having as many options as you can, because if, for example, I didn't have that university option, if I went to those trials, I know I wouldn't have performed as well as I could, because I'd have been nervous. I'd have been like, oh, every move, oh, what if I do this? And obviously I was a little bit nervous, but it wasn't, if I didn't get them, I was going to uni and I was still going to go play football for my local team. But I almost had more choices, less pressure off, more able just to express myself because I had the options. So I think, yeah, if you love football, that's great. And but I think to keep yourself options open and just try to listen as much as you can, because many people every footballer, every person who's in football has had ups and downs, and I think you can learn a lot along the way.
Chris Smalling, shukran.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it. I really enjoyed just...
How was it?
No, it was great. It just flew by, really. So
amazing. Thank you, guys.